underneath all of it, the thing we absolutely cannot say in our businesses, where we're supposed to be healed and empowered, is this: what if I don't want to keep going? Now, not in a scary way, but just what if the version of success I've been chasing feels like a cage I built myself? What if I'm tired? What if I need to stop? But stopping feels like failure, and I've already failed at so many things, and this was supposed to be the thing. I am Gloria Grace Rand, founder of the Love Method and author of the #1 Amazon bestseller, Live, Love, Engage: How to Stop Doubting Yourself and Start Being Yourself. In this podcast, we share practical advice from a spiritual perspective on how to live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically, so you can create a life and business with more impact, influence, and income. Welcome to Live, Love, Engage. Namaste. Am I the only one who wants to throw it all away every December? Now, I don't mean cleaning out the junk so the house is clean for the holidays. I'm actually talking about scrapping the business and walking away. You see, this week's episode is supposed to be about managing seasonal triggers, like they're items on a to-do list. Check your boundaries, practice self-care, set realistic expectations. But here's what I really want to say. What if the trigger is the business itself? What if every December you remember who you were before you became this entrepreneur version of yourself, and you're not quite sure you like the trade you made? That's what we're really talking about. So, we're not going to be sharing tips or strategies, but the raw nerve underneath all of it. But as always, first, I do want to welcome you to Live, Love, Engage, especially if this is your first time joining us. I really want to welcome you and introduce myself. I am Gloria Grace. I'm a confidence catalyst and self-love advocate, and I empower mission-driven women over 50 through my signature Love Method, LOVE method, and energy healing to boldly live life on their terms. Now, I just realized I forgot my water today, but I'm just going to keep on rolling because that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this episode without water. So there you go. And see, that's what I think this is what it is. I mean, this is what December feels like when you're a woman over 50 running a business while, I don't know, it seems like the whole world is ending around you, or maybe it's just your world, or somebody else's world just ended, or maybe you're watching everything you've built feel suddenly pointless. You might be feeling a lot of rage, that everyone else gets to check out for the holidays, but you're still showing up, still performing, still holding space for other people's transformations while yours is on hold. Maybe you're feeling some rage that your family still doesn't understand what you do, that you spent 30 years becoming someone else's definition of successful. And now you're finally doing your thing. And it's frankly exhausting and lonely. And nobody's throwing you a parade, for crying out loud. Maybe there's some shame, for not wanting to decorate, for resenting the clients who ghost you in December, or for looking at your revenue and feeling that old familiar pit in the pit of your stomach. Am I worth anything if I'm not producing? Maybe it's for being spiritual, but wanting to really just, I don't know, hit the next person who tells you to just surrender and trust, even if that's your higher self. Because I tell you, that's the message I've been getting for the last, I don't know, 2 years now. I know, I know, I know. I need to do that, right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. uh, Maybe it's that futility of sending another email or creating another offer or showing up on another Zoom call when your, I don't know, mother, sister, best friend, marriage, body is falling apart. And then there's this voice that's whispering to you, what is the point? Who cares? Why am I doing this? And underneath all of it, the thing we absolutely cannot say in our businesses, where we're supposed to be healed and empowered, is this: what if I don't want to keep going? Now, not in a scary way, but just what if the version of success I've been chasing feels like a cage I built myself? What if I'm tired? What if I need to stop? But stopping feels like failure, and I've already failed at so many things, and this was supposed to be the thing. Getting emotional here. Oh gosh. Yeah, I'm getting emotional because I'm thinking about, let's see, 9 years ago. Okay, so I'm recording this in November. Well, actually, it's still the end of October. Wait a minute. It's still the end of October. This is going to be airing the beginning of November. But 9 years ago at this time, I was in Tucson, Arizona. I was at a hospital where my sister was dealing with complications from the cancer that she'd been battling for the last year and a half, almost. And I had rushed out there at the end of October because I'd gotten this call from the nurse saying that your we're not sure she's going to make it. You need to come out here right now. So I hopped on a plane. Thank God for Southwest Airlines at the time. They were really great and got me on a plane right away. And I even got TSA pre-check, so I didn't even have to stand through the line, which was wonderful. And luckily, she rallied. My sister did rally, but she also, we just knew it was like, this is it. The end is coming. And she'd already stopped chemo, going through any more radiation therapy just wasn't going to do anything anymore for her, for the tumor that she had. And so we opted to go get her into hospice care. And so she was in a hospice facility for a little while. And then on November 11th, I remember that, it was Veterans Day, she went home. The hospice people brought a bed to her home, which we set up in the living room. And that's where she stayed until the end of December. A couple of days after Christmas was when she transitioned. And all the while that this was going on, I'm running a business. I'm trying to run a business anyway. I mean, and thankfully, the fact that I'm a solopreneur and that I was doing digital marketing really at the time, as long as I had computer connection, I was able to do that. And I was also in the middle of, and I remember like recording videos while she was sleeping. I would go out in the backyard and record a video because I was promoting a 3-day workshop that I had already postponed once due to a hurricane. And now it was going to happen in January. And like at the end of January was when the hotel was able to be open again. And so I was promoting this workshop, trying to keep things together, keeping the word out. All the while, my sister is starting to fade. And man, oh man, let me tell you, the tension, between grief and then especially then the grief of losing her and then having to put this workshop on a month later. Wow. It was, it was not easy. I and I'm looking at my notes right now, and I'm not even sure what I want to say, but it just, it was just realizing that trying to do all of this, it sucks. And I got to tell you is that, every year when, the holidays come around, I'm reminded of that time, and just yeah, just trying to do this. So I guess maybe this is the real holiday trigger that I'm trying to talk about today. It's not the past trauma, but it's that present day realization that you've become someone who can function through anything, and you're not really sure that's a superpower or a prison. So what do we do with this? Because I can't just leave you in the pit with me, even though part of me thinks there's something honest about staying here together for a minute. But first, and I mean this, stop trying to holiday proof your business like it's a house you're weatherizing. Your business is you. And if you're falling apart, it gets to fall apart too. Because I tell you, after my sister passed, I wasn't blogging regularly anymore. I used to blog every week. I didn't do that. I think I was lucky to maybe do a blog article once a month in that first year. I stopped sending out regular emails because I had to deal with the grief. So maybe December is actually showing you the truth about your business model. Maybe that it's too fragile, too dependent on your constant output, too shaped around other people's needs. So what if the trigger is a message, not a malfunction? So here's some questions I'm sitting with. Maybe you are too. What would my business look like if I built it for the woman I'm becoming? Not the woman I was when I started. Let's just pause on that a little bit. In fact, I might even just re-ask that. Yeah. What would my business look like, actually? Yeah, what would my business look like if I built it for the woman I'm becoming, not the woman I was when I started? Which parts of my business am I keeping because they work? And which parts am I keeping because I'm scared to admit they don't? What if success isn't scaling? What if it's right sizing? What if enough is actually enough? Here's another question. Am I trying to heal people because that's my gift? Now, I know not all of you may be necessarily healers per se, but maybe, depending on what type of business you're in, maybe, because there's other ways of healing. But anyway, maybe it's because being the healer Means I don't have to be the one who breaks. I hope this is making sense. I hope it is. But this is what I want to say. Seasonal triggers aren't just about family dysfunction, although there is that. And I might even do a little side talk about this in a second too. Maybe it's not about, your parent, your mom, maybe who still introduces you by your corporate job from 15 years ago, or your brother or sister who asks when you're getting a real job, or maybe it's even a spouse who asks that as well. Maybe it's your partner also who doesn't get why you're stressed about a business that should be passive by now. But maybe the deeper trigger is this. The holidays force you to exist in close proximity to the life you used to have, the person you used to be, and everyone's opinion about whether you made the right choice. And part of you still isn't sure, wondering, should you have stayed in the marriage, kept the job, made everyone else comfortable? And I'm going to, again, I had a bunch of notes, and I'm just going to digress here for a second too, because it's not just even the holidays that bring this stuff up. Sometimes it's even special events, wonderful special events that you might experience. You may have noticed, if you have been a regular subscriber of the podcast, that over the last 4 weeks, I didn't do any episodes. They were all interviews. It was 4 straight weeks of interviews, and that's because I was getting ready for my son's wedding. My son got married this past weekend, and it was a wonderful, wonderful occasion, and a bit of a stressful one as well, because I was in proximity, yes, very close proximity with my husband, who I've been separated from for the last 3 years. And we wound up driving together. Thankfully, my daughter was with us, so I had a little bit of a buffer there. But it was amazing in that it really brought up a lot of stuff for me, a lot of emotion, and even backsliding into some patterns that I thought I had dealt with. So, yeah, it was a wonderful experience, and it was also an emotional one, and really, kind of brought up some triggers in me. So, like I said, it's not always just the holidays itself, but maybe it was the holidays and this. But anyway, okay, here's what I want to tell you. As we're nearing the end of the year, as we're getting, this is November now, when this is airing, and December is right around the corner. Stop thinking that you have to have it all together just for December. Now, maybe, you could still be active in November. We got Black Friday coming up. Maybe you're going to run a special for Black Friday, or Small Business Saturday, and all that fun stuff, But once that's done, be good to yourself. Be honest with yourself. Let people know that you're struggling. Supportive people. Okay, make sure it is supportive people. Let your business be quiet. Give yourself, if I can speak, give yourself permission not to launch, not to post as much. Let yourself take a holiday break. You don't have to do everything. Let yourself feel some fear that comes up when you're not performing, because it probably will. You'll probably be like, I need to be doing stuff, but maybe you don't. You know, if that voice comes up, and we have these lovely voices that say, oh, if you stop, you're going to lose everything. If you're not producing, you're not valuable. If you don't show up consistently, they're going to forget about you. Maybe some will. But you know what? They weren't your ideal client. Because if they are your ideal client and they notice, in fact, I even saw somebody today, someone that I follow, he's even been a guest on the show before. His name is Mark Mowini. He is a believer in sending daily emails. I mean, this man is consistent. But he had one day where his email software didn't work. And his daily email did not show up in people's inboxes at the same time. It was delayed. And he got emails from people saying, what happened? Are you okay? Did you have a car accident? What's going on? And he heard from those people because they were the people who really, really followed him and really were his ideal clients, were his ideal followers. They were invested in him. So even if you don't show up consistently in December, the people who really are your people, they will be curious, and they may just reach out to you and say, hey, is everything okay? And then you can say, yeah, I'm just taking a little break for the holidays. How about you? Why don't you take a break too? Let's take a break together and let's enjoy ourselves for a change. And then we'll come back raring to go in January. So that ego voice that was saying all these things to you, that's the seasonal trigger. It's not your intuition. It's not your higher self that loves you. It's those messages that we absorb from, from our culture, from our well-meaning parents, from our well-meaning friends, from, religion, whatever, that you're not good enough or whatever. When you be still and know, you're going to hear the difference, because your higher self loves you and cares for you and is going to tell you, yeah, it's okay to take a break. It's okay. Or not, if maybe you want to just keep powering on in December. I mean, I'm actually thinking of doing some stuff. I'm going to be December, and I'm going to start talking about this more as I get we start getting into December, but the podcast is going to be going through a rebranding in January. And I'll be talking more about this, but I'm just planting the seed now. Not a major change, but the name is going to change. The podcast name is going to change. I've already been sort of letting you know who I'm talking to, and hopefully you're responding. But I really want everything to be more consistent, and when it happens in January. So anyway, I'm going to be still fairly active, but I did enjoy the break last week, which was nice. I didn't even post anything. Well, I scheduled a post for LinkedIn, but it was like pretty much I was dark on social media last week. So that was sort of my holiday break for the wedding, because I wanted to be able to be there for my kids and enjoy spending time with them. And I have this wonderful new daughter-in-law. I got a wonderful son and daughter, and so now I've got 3 kids in my family now instead of 2, which is wonderful. So, so here's the deal. what I want you to ponder right now is think about I'm gonna pose some more questions for you. So, and these are the things that you might want to go back and listen to this again and maybe journal about, because I'm a big fan of journaling. I love doing that. So start thinking about what if you don't want what you originally said you wanted? You know, think about that. What if maybe the dream you're chasing is someone else's? What if you're building this business to prove something to people who don't even care? Or worse, than maybe they're not even around anymore, or they're not watching. And what if you're simply done with this version of your business, this iteration of yourself, this relentless pushing? What if you want less, smaller, quieter? What if you want to matter less to more people and matter more to fewer people? Hmm. These are the questions that the holidays surface because they make us stop, really force us to stop. And when we stop, we can feel everything that we've been running from. And maybe the most radical thing you can do this December isn't to holiday proof anything. Maybe it's the holiday break you open so you can see what's actually underneath. And then what if you didn't fix it? What if you didn't pivot, realign, rebrand? Okay, don't listen to me. I know I'm rebranding, but just the podcast a little bit. But what if you just sat in the rubble for a minute and let yourself be okay? And again, I'm not saying to blow up your business. I'm not. What I am saying is to stop pretending that it's separate from your healing. Stop treating it like a thing you fix so you can be whole. Your business isn't the solution, it's part of the journey. And right now, that journey might be asking you to slow down or stop entirely. You're allowed. You're allowed to be tired. And it might not even be your business. It might just be this energy that we've been living in for the past year, because especially here in the United States, let me tell you, there's been a lot of stuff. I don't want to even say negative, but I would just say there's just been a lot of energy that's might be weighing on you and that you need a break from. And I know I've talked about this in the past in one of our episodes about, kind of tuning out from social media. So, it's okay to be tired, to want less, to even quit the thing you said you'd never quit, to change your mind, to disappoint people. Yeah, you know what? Or to not know. There's a song I've been listening to. It's on an album by Bob Sima. And it says, I don't know, and that's all right. I don't know, and that's all right. So it's all right for you not to know what to do right now. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Spend some time getting quiet, because when you give yourself time to be quiet, ideas will come, answers will come, and or journal, and the answers will come that way. So, yeah. I think I know I talked a mile a minute at the beginning, and I guess I was just revved up for some reason. So now I want to slow down. I'm going to slow down right now. And I want to offer you something to listen to. I'm going to share some light language with you. And if you're new to the podcast, if you're new to light language, I'll just tell you a little bit about it. But basically, number one, I'm going to encourage you to, if you're driving, to save this for later, because you're going to want to listen to this where you can be totally focused on what you're going to hear. Because I'd also encourage you to close your eyes as well. And maybe put a hand on your heart, one on your belly, or one or the other. And just allow what I'm going to be sharing with you to speak to your heart, because it's going to sound like a foreign language, and that's okay, because it's a language of love that I channel from other realms, and it will help you to release whatever you're holding on to that you don't want to hold on to anymore. And so it's going to give you permission to just let go whatever isn't serving you anymore. And also to allow this season to crack you open instead of keeping it together a little bit. So you don't have to understand it, just receive it, let it move through you however it needs to. And so I'm going to trust right now that you pause this and that you're ready to listen to it, and just set an intention that the message that you receive will be for your soul's highest good and the highest good of all concerned, because that's what I am intending as well. Patoi kaya na kaya patoy na kaya na non kaya pishung kale paguta kuya to mata kuya tong kaya manu tati ula patale pata kala la no kaliana kali atoy no kri tala modiona krimana kasha no ya manakua o tammo ke anno kaya manu kieta pashaguya pa kwala diata Koleanno koyamana ki hamna enne koyane kiwana shiano kara akashano kaya badunga de ane koyada eshakana mukane kari toyano kaya padno kaye patokyo shona kaya patungala tagunyana ne atungare te tayona hasta dayamno koyata kayashaki pata koyata kamalia totokuma koyana ke pashakatete koyata koisa. I hope you receive that with the love that I intended for you to receive. And if you would ever like to receive light language directly from me, one-on-one via Zoom, unless you happen to live in Florida and want to look me up in person, but I do one-on-one sessions online via Zoom. And it's really powerful because we can address specifically whatever issues you are going through right now. So whether it is, dealing with this holiday angst or what have you, you know, you can get in touch with me. You can go to and schedule a half an hour session with me, and you will get a recording of it so that you can listen to it over and over again. And I'd love to support you with that. You can go to my website, go to gloriarand.com. You'll see under Work with Me, I think is the tab under there, or just go to, I'll have the link in the show notes, but go to bit.ly/capital L, capital E, and then lowercase podcast and the number 30, because it's a 30-minute session. So LLE podcast 30. And I'd love to be able to support you with that. So one final thought I want to leave with you is that you are here. You are you. You are light. You are love. And that's enough. That's enough for today. So I'm not sure what we're talking about next week, because normally at this time I would plug an interview. But no, I will be back next week with another episode and probably some more end of year stuff as we're rocking and rolling here rapidly. I know once we hit October, it just seems like, 2025 has flown by. I don't know if that for you, but I know it has flown by for me. And now I know that these next 8 weeks they're going to be like over in a blink of an eye, I tell you. So before that happens, I want to encourage you to subscribe to the podcast if you aren't already. Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe on YouTube as well. And this way you'll be notified when our episodes drop. So, yeah, that's going to do it. That's going to do it for this time. So until we meet again next week, I encourage you to go out and live fully, love deeply, and engage authentically.